Do it like that, not like that.
Like this. So the fuzzy wuzzy is pointing to my mouth, to the top. Right?
Yes, like that, precisely. Well,
and
you don't need to turn it on just yet.
okay, I have to turn it on. Perfect.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. We will start today's rich proceedings with some recitation by Mubin Ahmed, who's joined us here from Cape Town. In the short time that I've been living in South Africa, I've come to understand that Cape Town is really a tremendous mother city for beautiful dhikr and Quranic recitation. So welcome, Brother Mubin. We will start now.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إسرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان صدق الله العظيم.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Mubin Ahmed. He read from, I think, Surah Al-Baqarah, if you want to look it up later, 284 to the last three verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, and of course Surah Rahman. Well, I will start by that time-worn request to please keep your mobile phones on silent. Please sit comfortably. We have a very rich morning ahead of us. We have 4 presentations. We have the first, which is going to be introduced by Muneera Haeri on the Garden of Meaning. Muneera is an author, a historian. She has co-authored Sufi links with Shaykh Fadhlalla, and apart from history and many other related areas of interest, she's also a very accomplished aromatherapy specialist in its healing applications, both for physical but also for emotional and psychological states. After that, we will have a presentation by Hajj Mustafa and Imam Nusra Qasim called Carpets of Ascension. And then there will be a tea break, after which Noha Aesop will be presenting on an ordinary life under an extraordinary teacher. And then the last session of the morning will be Alia Batul Haeri's presentation on the transformative nature of surrender. Lunch will obviously, and Dhuhr Salat will follow that. And at 2:30 there will be a closing address, hopefully from Shaykh Fadhlalla, after which will be followed by tea and close of the day. I will hand over to Muneera Khanum, who will tell you what her presentation is about, and I believe you have a panel assisting you. So if you'd like to first introduce and invite them all to come up here, and we'll make sure they all
come
have.
up here. I'm just a little bit worried about the panel being squashed. Are we
No,
going?
I'm not going to sit up here. So,
perhaps Shafia can come and sit next to you.
panelists, when you speak to the microphone, make sure you speak to the top of the microphone, please.
This is terrifying, Mona. Now, is this working?
You will do this, yeah?
Well, if nobody can hear anything I say, you can just stop and say, adjust the microphone. Assalamu alaikum. It is wonderful to be here with all of you, and even more wonderful to be able to share with you a little about Shaykh Fadhlalla's latest book. Now, some copies of it have been printed, but actually it is still work in progress. Not much more to be done, but it hasn't been typeset, and so it is a book that you are going to be able to look forward to very, very soon. It is an absolutely amazing work, and I know Shamim, who worked so hard to take dictation, organize it, and put it together, will tell you how much she benefited from it. Right from the beginning of Sufi poetry, the symbol of the garden was popular, with Hakim Sanai in the wall garden, and then the famous Gulshan Araz of Shabistari, the secret rose garden. And the secret rose garden was something very dear to Shaykh Fadhlalla. It was one of the first things he arranged for the translation of. And many times he thought more recently of doing a translation, another new translation, because he hadn't been completely satisfied with the original. And he had this vision of Shabistari, of Sanai, Atta, Sadi, of all the great mystic poets of the past. And he saw them laughing at him and saying, look, we spoke to the people of our time. Your time is different. And you must speak to them in the language that they will understand. I mean, the height of Arabic and Farsi poetry has these wonderful metaphors of gardens, of plants, particularly the rose, of birds, of all that is beautiful in creation. And often they were used because of danger from religious authorities, if it was felt that the mystics were straying too far from Sharia. And so it was a protection. And however beautiful they may be, sometimes for us who may not have the languages, they are quite difficult to understand in translation. So the Garden of Meaning has everything that they had, but it has it in a way that is easy and accessible. Spectrum, which was produced a couple of years ago, is an amazing textbook where a page can be taken once a day for a year and you can really look at it. But you know, a lot of us are quite lazy people. We like something that is dished up, easily accessible. This is a shorter book with all the insights, with all the dance of dualities, and always the remembrance, which is Shaykh Fadhlalla's trademark, that we are a soul and we are also a shadow self. And he is not only helping us of the ways that we can reach to higher consciousness, but he is also reminding of us that so long as we are in this world, we are in a world of duality, and we have to act within that. We have to honor the laws of gravity. We have to honor our relationships, and we have to behave correctly in this world in preparation for the next realm of existence. In this book, he looks at many questions that the seeker has. He looks at lights and delights, but at no time is it forgotten that we are here in preparation. This realm is a realm of transience, but it is a realm where we can act. And when we move into the next sphere, we will no longer be able to act. So we will carry with us the experience we have had in this period. Now, there is a wonderful team here who are going to, at Shaykh Fadhlalla's request, read a couple of pages. Each one of them have selected 2 pages which moved them, and they're going to read it. And Shaykh Fadhlalla had wanted that at the end of each reading, there should be a few minutes of silence so that the audience can reflect. This is all very, very dense. You can read the same sentence 10 times and find some different implication or meaning for you in it. So he wanted it to be a session of sharing a little of it, thinking about it, moving on to another concept. Now, I would like each one of the panel, before they speak, to introduce themselves and to say. Now, I think it is Tahir. Yours was the first reading. Incidentally, we have 3 very gifted and talented and successful lawyers here who are using their super worldly brains to tap into the unseen. And Shamim and I are more the workhorses. Right, Shamim? So, Tahir, over to you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before I read, I must say that when I was requested to go through this book, I felt like a child who's been thrown into a candy store and I'm expected to only choose one sweet. It was the most difficult thing
Otherwise,
ever.
we'll be here all day.
Yes. So, out of this wonderful, wonderful book, I elected to read What Rises Will Fall. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. If the sky is the limit, will you be falling from it? Whatever appears will also disappear. Whatever exists will return back to non-existence. Whatever is born will also die. Whatever is right contains falsehood within it. Whatever gives you pleasure can give you pain. There is no success without it carrying the seed of failure at the personal or collective level. The cycle of emanation and return is ever perpetual. It is only the speed and way of manifestation that varies. The life of a corporation is prolonged due to limited liability, enabling the top executive to make a big mistake without being held personally responsible. Changes in fashion and fading memories give us the pleasant illusion of newness and freshness. Every generation simply rides on a Ferris wheel of change and its destruction. Changing times and ideas are the great deception that conceals the ever-present permanent. It is most refreshing to meet a cheerful yogi living a colorful life, whilst wearing the same color saffron robe, summer and winter. If your inner state is vibrant and alive, you care less for the outer. But the more concern you have for your outer fashion, the more likely it is that you are dull at heart and spiritual consciousness. Sensory experiences are bracketed between arrival and departure, stimulation and response. Stability lies in the zone of consciousness that is beyond space and time. Once our day-to-day life is stable, we look for new interests and excitements. In today's world, outer success, wealth, holidays, special occasions, and parties are commonly regarded as highlights in life. Equally, we have hope and expectations of leaders and heroes whom we can identify with and look up to. But in most cases, the more we expect of a hero, the more we will be disappointed. Our heroes often end up as zeros. After all, as humans, we are both nothing and everything. Our bodies return back to the earth and disintegrate. Our minds also vanish, and the soul drifts back to its origin, the source of all. So where is the hero? If any good idea or guidance has been helpful to you in a durable sense, then it may lead you to the cosmic perpetual truth that is beyond any description of confinement. The sacred light is not subject to any human evaluation. It is the cause of what is up as well what is down. Truth neither rises nor falls. It always is.
Assalamu alaikum. So I have to echo Tahir's sentiments about the candy store, because I ended up choosing 2 of them and then literally had to inni mini miny mo one of them. Anyway, I had the privilege of editing one of the versions last July of this book. And as Sister Muneera said, to me this was like the layperson spectrum. Connected so well with it, I finished editing it in one evening. Anyway, the one I chose was pleasing others. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Pleasure implies easy flow, and we like that. We naturally prefer harmony to discord. We constantly experience descent and ascent in consciousness. Sometimes we are mean and selfish. Other times we act with generosity and goodwill. We always hope to connect smoothly and favorably with the situation we are in. We enjoy being pleased with ourselves and others, but the self changes, and so do others. Yet we desire stability. Most of us struggle personally and for the sake of others to bring about well-being, without which we are in greater disturbance and chaos. It is not enough if I'm just pleasing myself, because at no time is one in complete isolation from the environment and independent from other human beings. Without family and other people in our species, without family and other people, our species will be extinct. The well-being of others is next to the importance of personal well-being. It is not good enough to be healthy and content while surrounded by unhappy creatures who are moaning, groaning, and living in physical and mental disorder. If you feel good, you like to share it. You like to acquire beautiful objects to show and share them. And if you are greedy enough, you will be called a philanthropist and have a museum housing your art collection named after you. You have no option but to want the best for yourself and others. When your cup is full, it spills over. But for a generous person, he shares his cup with others even when it is almost empty. An awakened person welcomes others to look at themselves in their heart's mirrors by shining a torch that enables others to light their candles. The soul's light is cosmic, and all we need to do is to experience how darkness naturally vanishes when light appears. No 2 fingerprints are the same, but the function of a finger and its importance is the same. A healthy person cannot help wanting well-being and goodness for all. In truth, otherness is the outer earthly package of cosmic oneness. Existence of otherness is the nursery that enables the grooming and blossoming of one's own self. We are all the same in essence, having emerged from the cosmic oneness and on our way back to it, whilst experiencing differences and changes. I am living as a soul when I see all others as potentially the same as me. That state is most pleasing for all.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Muhammad Zunaid Hussain. Tahir, I feel compelled to continue with the metaphor. And this is, to my mind, this book, a smorgasbord of delight. And so you've got a whole host of wonderful dishes in front of you, and instead of indulging in all of them, you really got to select one or two. It's a remarkable book. You have 90 topics thereabout, with just 2 pages each. And I was saying to Sister Shameen earlier, it reminds one of what Mark Twain said. I'm sorry to have sent this long letter to you. I didn't have the time to do a shorter one. To actually condense a topic of this, topics of this profundity into 2 pages is remarkable. Of course, we expect nothing less from Shaykh. But that structure just lends so much content to this book that as you open it, 2 pages face you. And in there, each topic is explicated in this wonderful way. So the topic I've chosen is transcending fear and sorrow. So to start with that topic, just the word transcending, the verb, note that it is not to cure fear or sorrow, not to avoid it, to ignore it, but actually to transcend it. And you'll see why the wordsmith that Shaykh is actually chose that verb and how that works through this topic. If I can invite you to then take your fears and sorrows and put it in this, on this imaginary pedestal in front of you. And then as we go through this journey of these 2 pages and 2 or 3 other paragraphs that link to this, and let's see if we can actually transcend that fear and sorrow with this great approach of Shaykh's. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Suffering due to fear or sorrow relates to unfulfilled desires, disappointments, illusions, confusions, and distractions from soul consciousness. An intelligent seeker desires to live without fear, sorrow, regrets, or anything that is undesirable or detrimental to awakening. It is common wisdom to advise people how to avoid persistent sorrow or grief. It is equally fashionable to help people to be more courageous and to have no fear. Positive thinking has become a commonly accepted, desirable trait, even though it is an illusion and out of balance. We are naturally driven towards a higher zone of consciousness where fear, sorrow, and most other emotions become weak and even replaced by good expectations and presence of mind and heart. Pure consciousness sheds light upon all earthly shadows and darkness. Our natural drive towards awakening will save us from much fear and sorrows that can only be transcended when the perpetual life of the soul is realized and known. What is the purpose of fear or sorrow to begin with? Is it redundant as far as the human project is concerned? Like the ego, when fear and sorrow are fully transcended, it will be realized how important it was to have them. Can I read that again? Like the ego, when fear and sorrow are fully transcended, it will be realized how important it was to have them. The natural drive is to reduce pain or sorrow. The natural drive to reduce pain or sorrow relates to our relentless concern to preserve life and its continuity. Fear or grief can be incentives to transcend these emotions towards an awakening to cosmic life. With fear and sorrow, you are miserable. Without them, you are still discontent, because contentment lies in the higher and spiritual zone of consciousness that is not confined to your mind and humanity. There is always fear and sorrow until you awaken to a state beyond your body, mind, and sensory realities. instead of fighting fear and sorrow, and their closest companion, desire, it can be more effective to acknowledge them and transcend the mind that creates them. Then you are at the shore of perfect reality. That state is a paradigm shift. Sheer contentment and joy is a divine grace and is ever there. But you are not there because your mind and thoughts occupy you and drive you along what you erroneously perceive as happiness. Cosmic consciousness is the origin and destination. This source of life radiates from your own soul, which exudes bliss and joy. There are 2 or 3 other paragraphs that Shaykh has in this book, which, with Sister Muneera's permission, I'd read very quickly, that ties in with this. When you are illumined by your realization of the perfect presence of oneness, the earthly experiences will not be dominated by fears or sorrow. If you are orientated towards higher consciousness and the presence of infinite reality, then you are in the spiritual flow where no fear, sorrow, or depression has a place. Our higher spiritual nature is to be cheerful at all times, irrespective of the mental evaluation of a situation. Depression, sorrow, and fears all belong to the shadowy world of ego self and conditioned consciousness. In the final paragraph, to trace the origin of suffering is the most important step in transcending it. When you consider that the suffering self will affect the body, mind, and heart, and that the perfect soul is the origin and source of life, then you would like to refer your thoughts and desires to your soul and higher consciousness for sanction and approval. Through the occasional transcendence of your mind and identity, you touch higher consciousness that is sometimes referred to as conscience. In the rise of higher consciousness, you enter another zone where joy can only increase with surrendering and abandonment of the lower self. If I can read that again. In the rise of higher consciousness, you enter another zone where joy can only increase with surrendering and abandonment of the lower self. You are much less significant than you even think. But within you lies the potential of experiencing the cosmic vastness of timelessness, where suffering becomes a distant past memory and joy prevails. Thank you.
So I would like to first thank or express my gratitude to Shaykh Fadhlalla for giving me the opportunity to work on this book. I feel as though I really dropped everything to get it done. And despite Shaykh Fadhlalla warning me throughout the period not to lose sight of my work or not to lose my focus, I gave this book priority, and it's provided so many openings for me. And I am really very grateful to have had the opportunity. Okay, so I chose the center. Bismillah. The universe is composed of energy and matter, and the interplay between all that exists with beginnings and ends. But where is the center of it all? Is there any part that is ever constant? The relative stability of our Earth is based on the balance between the gravitational pull towards its center and the upward and outward centrifugal force. The human quest to get to the heart of the matter is a natural human drive to explore and know. We discover the center of gravity or the center of the storm, but continue the Holy Grail to discover the center of all. All these centers are in fact metaphors of the cosmic center that permeates every situation in existence. It is a center that is everywhere and at all times. There is the origin of the religious belief that God is everywhere, at all the times. Whatever exists has a physical or metaphoric center. We want to be at the center and be inclusive and resent being excluded. We want to know the center of power, and the central issue is the essential part of a debate. We want to be connected by the center of all connections and events so as to experience contentment, security, and lasting tranquility. We are curious as to our personal center. Is it the heart? Where is that heart? What and where is the center of the earth? What and where is the center of our galaxy? Will anyone experience being at one with the center and then stop all other inquiries? Every galaxy revolves around its black hole, where everything returns and vanishes. The human project will be fulfilled when the elusive self vanishes in its own black hole, where there is no space or time or the illusion of separation. Is there anything more desirable than a truly fulfilled love affair? Love of life is in the center of our existence. I'm obsessed with life, and that emanates from my soul within my heart. I'm obsessed with my life, which is a stage that leads to the source of the universe that mysteriously permeates, governs, and unifies the universe. The real center is everywhere and nowhere at the same time and in no time. In truth, the center permeates everything, and we are groping with traces of it.
I'd like to close the session by reading to you Shaykh Fadhlalla's overview, which really gives the core of all his teachings, the core of what is in the book. It is a beautiful summary. The most natural human drive is to investigate and know the physical, emotional, and other aspects of life. From babyhood onwards, we are stimulated to connect cause and effect and learn how to avoid what is undesirable and attract what is desirable. At the physical, psychological, and mental levels, we are balanced between attraction and repulsion, give and take, input and output, sleep and action. We are interconnected at numerous levels of discernible as well as unknown forces. At all times in our wakeful state, we desire well-being and balance within our body, mind, and heart. Physical and mental well-being naturally leads to higher states of consciousness and spiritual insights. Human nature is both earthly and heavenly. While our love for beauty, harmony, and the fragrance of a garden are like the earthly nursery that may lead us towards the discovery of the inner heavenly garden, the sacred soul within, eternally perfect. The natural drive to be stable, secure, and happy are preludes to experiencing a higher consciousness, which is beyond anything that is discernible. The feeling of bliss, euphoria, and joy touch our consciousness due to transcendence of mind and senses. A clear mind and healthy body are needed for basic earthly activities and survival. It is necessary to go beyond them to touch the inner spirit or soul. Important earthly needs can never be completely satisfied, as we are obsessed with a state that is beyond fulfillment, which can occur when we transcend the zone of earthly consciousness. Lose yourself in an earthly garden, and you may be at the gates of its heavenly origin. Human consciousness is affected by numerous levels of stimuli and responses. The human microcosm mirrors the vast macrocosm. We want to know and experience everything on earth and beyond. We are heavenly spirits in earthly transit. Our origin and spirit are beyond time and space, so contain everything that is temporary and constant. Most reflective people occasionally experience being trapped and caught with the limited boundaries of earthly existence. Lasting relief can occur when one awakes to the truth that in reality one is a soul, thus beyond the limits of space or time. We are briefly trapped in our earthly bodies and will experience relief through direct experience of the light of the soul within. The most crucial human duty or responsibility is to know the nature of the self and be in constant awareness and reference to the permanent soul or spirit within. All human experiences and conditioned earthly consciousness are experienced in dualities and pluralities. Light can be discerned due to darkness. Good and bad are inseparable. Earthly wisdom implies understanding and acting appropriately within space and time, which is relative and changeable. Higher consciousness and awakening leads to transcendence of all limitations. Body and mind are rooted in earth, while the soul within the heart is heavenly. The origin of the word educate in Latin is both educare, which means to bring out that which is hidden, and educare, to train or to mold. The ultimate knowledge and experience is to witness the earthly garden as a metaphor of the heavenly one. The love of beauty, harmony, and peace is the unconditional love of divine grace and its spiritual agent. The garden and its meaning are our nursery on earth. Just to finish, Shaykh Fadhlalla asked me to give you all a message today, and that is to go to the Quran, that the Quran has everything, and everybody who wishes to progress on this path should find those ayahs, those parts of the Quran which are the most helpful to them. I think we all of us resonate with different surahs, with different ayahs, and this was his recommendation to each and every one of you. And I hope very much that you will all have a chance to go through this, to reflect on it leisurely, and understand how it really is the most amazing, prescriptive Sufi manual for our times. Easy, accessible, and bringing earthly and heavenly gardens close at hand. Thank you, panel, for your reading and for all your contribution and work towards the book. And have a blessed, blessed day. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much for that beautiful presentation, reminding us that we do live in the garden and that it is our choice to witness that. And thank you also to the panelists. It somehow adds something extra when you see how these passages impact the people who are reading them. Alhamdulillah, and we can share in their direct experience. I'd like to please invite Hajj Mustafa Ali and Imam Nusra to come and share with us their presentations on, respectively, Salat and Presence. Hajj Mustafa Ali, please come up. Many of you will know Haji Mustafa from before. His association with Shaykh Fadhlalla spans some 40 years. He's a diwan lover, a lover of Allah, a gemologist, sometime publisher, and he's writing his book at the moment as well. We can look... Sorry? Mostly criminal. Mostly criminal book coming out soon. No, the book isn't criminal. Your life has been. You have to switch it on and please speak to the top of the... You have one? Good, alhamdulillah. And Imam Nusra Qasim is a media strategist and a teacher and a scholar. He has graduated from university in Saudi Arabia and is a specialist in hadith studies and often acts as imam. Welcome to you both. We have great expectations. Welcome. Haji Mustafa, if you would like to start, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's start with something. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha Allah, la ilaha illallah, 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 la La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Ahimu wadi bidhikri Rabbi, fadhikru Rabbi huwa shifahu. Hababtu Rabban huwa timadi likuli shayin huwa yashau wa kullu hubbin li ghayri Rabbi fihi adhabu fihi shaqau ya fawza fani That last panel, it seemed like it was the end. You know, everything was completely summed up in that. Everything that Shaykh Fadhlalla said in his overview is the entire, you can live on that for the rest of your life, and it will give you nourishment and continuity and access for, you wouldn't need any more. But, you know, it's like one of my friends said, why do you have to say La ilaha illallah so many times? And he said, well, if I had a big enough oar, I could cross the ocean in one swoop. But we need that consistency and constancy in our practice of the deen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alif Lam Mim. Dhalika al-kitabu la rayb. Fihi hudan lil-muttaqin. Alladhina yu'minuna bil-ghaybi wa yuqimuna as-salata wa mimma razaqnahum yunfikun. I'm taking this ayah today about salah and how there's been a discussion amongst people here, and I think everyone has this issue, is that when we come together, there is Allah's rahmah is with His jama. There's an X factor that occurs that when people of like heart and like mind come together, it's magnified, where it becomes easier for us to have reflection, to have have an elevation, a higher perspective, a higher consciousness. But then the issue comes, well, when we're not together and we're in our daily lives, then, you know, how do we maintain this presence? How do we nurture that dhawq that we had when we were together? Also the same thing is, how do we nurture and develop that dhawq when we're in the presence of the epicenter of light that is represented in the person and the being of Shaykh Fadhlalla. When we're with him, we experience that because we are experiencing and reflecting something that is already within us. Shaykh Fadhlalla is a mirror to what is true and real already within you. When you meet someone who you consider to be your sheikh or your teacher, in truth, you have met yourself. You've met your true, authentic self. Now it's a process of tajreed, of letting go, of leaving behind the illusion of the ephemeral, the relative, your particular biography, and so on, because you've tasted something which is now beyond that biography, beyond that idea of the separate self. And the subject of my talk today is going to be on something that we do, as Muslims, we do every day, at least we're supposed to do, is do the salat every day, 5 times a day. And I can, I've been a Muslim now for 40 years, and I just really discovered Salah. And I know I'm going to probably, if Allah gives me life in 5 or 2 or 3 or even tomorrow, probably have rediscovered it again in a new and fresh way. But I want to just kind of go over a little bit of and unpack the movements, the things we say, how we lead up to the prayer, and how pristine and how exquisite the salat is, and all the aspects of it and all that leads up to it. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I want to kind of share that with you. This is, there's so many interpretations of the salat, and this is just something that I've personally discovered, and I just want to share it with you, as it has been a profound effect on my own life, and so I want to share that with you, inshallah. So the first part that is, again, so exquisite is that when it comes time for prayer, time is like is relative. So, but yet we become aware of time so that we now know that we need to enter into no time. So time plays a factor. It's a cosmological and conceptual, both at the same time, reality. But what is it? Is that it points us to knowing that it's time for Salah. So we're connected with the prayer on a celestial and terrestrial level. The sun is at a certain place. We have to find the Qibla. It's an amazing thing if you think about it, finding Qibla. You can write a whole book on finding Qibla. It means that what is Qibla? Qibla is the representation of the heart, of the essence, of the authentic reality. There are 2 things in the world, that in the context of Islam, that we call qalb, or the heart. We say that Kaaba is Baytullah, and the heart is Baytullah. So these are the 2 things, but really, how can they be 2? They're 1. So when you're finding Qibla, it means that you're looking to turn toward your inward, toward your true self. So finding Qibla, now you realize the celestial moment, that the sun is in the right place. You're connected now in a greater transcendent way from your small world of whatever it is, a teacher, a lawyer, a business person, a shop owner. And now you're entering into a higher consciousness, time, Qibla. Then you find the Qibla, and you know where it is, and you proceed to turn to it. But before you turn to it, you need to seal yourself from the world. You prepare yourself for what you were designed for. So you do wudu. Wudu is exquisite. It's not like for most people who are Muslims, they use tons of water and they wash themselves and blow their nose out and recently in the States, they had a shortage of water. I think it was in Louisiana. And they had all these fatwas coming about how much water you can use. And finally, they put something up on YouTube. The guy had a little spray bottle, right? And he said that it's okay just to put a little spray and do your wudu. There was so much disagreement about this, because people were... But in fact, you just need a little bit of water that represents the celestial. So what I do is I make the intention when I take this water, it's light, it's celestial light. And I put it, you put it on as everyone knows how to do wudu, you seal yourself in that celestial light so that you no longer will be engaged or be distracted by worldly phenomena. You want to prepare yourself for the turning towards Qibla. Then you turn towards Qibla and you raise your hands. And Shaykh Fadhlalla puts it so beautifully that you just Allah is beyond anything you can conceive or anything you can imagine. It is Allahu Akbar. Akbar means not just great, like a mountain is great or a person is great, but greater beyond the mind, greater beyond anything that could be conceived. And what I've discovered from that is that when you raise your hand like just behind your ears and you say Allahu Akbar, it's like you draw the curtain back of the relative and ephemeral world, and you're now standing in front of, in your imagination, in your khayal, you're standing in front of the Allah, the mirror, the Kaaba, the mirror of your heart, but at the same time, that which is beyond yourself, beyond any conception, and you draw that curtain back and say Allahu Akbar, and then you stand there. Then you stand there and you say the Fatiha, and there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he says that the entire Qur'an is contained within the Fatiha. When you recite the Fatiha, I know for myself, for years, I just did this as a rote type thing. Like you had to pray, so you felt it was a ritual requirement, so you do it. And then afterwards you say, I got that out of the way, it's done. It was Dhuhr, it was Asr, it was Maghrib, I did it, and you feel good about yourself. Well, this is something else. The prayer is the flying carpet. It's as the Prophet ﷺ said, and I believe it's in the Quran, a salatul mirajatul mu'min. It is something which takes you through and the stations of all that you are and beyond. It is supposed to, if done right, it is described as delivering you, like the Prophet ﷺ, to the Sidratul Muntaha, that place where you go beyond the creative, the relative, and you enter into the tasting and with hope and yearning into the beyond. So you recite the Fatiha with presence. And as Shaykh Fadhlalla said, when you say Bismillah, you are asking permission. Why? Because there's this idea that we have that somehow we were kind of like just separate from the world. We're separate from the creational effulgence in some way. But in reality, we are an emergence of that original divine intention. As Allah says that I was a treasure hidden, wanting to be known. So I manifested this creation to be known. So really you, every atom that is you, is made from the celestial heavens, from the stardust, from everything that from the original intention became multiplied and complexified, so to speak, in a way that produced you, which is only there to be, for the Creator to be known. So when you say Bismillah, think about that. Reflect on the fact that you are, the source of your being and everything is Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not you, it is Him. And that is beyond gender when I say that. It is the reality, the source of all things, which is you, manifesting you. So you take permission from that. And you stand there, and when you say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, again, Shaykh Fadhlalla puts it so beautifully. When you ask for the Rahman, it is that overarching mercy that is extended throughout all of the creation. And the Rahim, which is your relative and personal experience of that overarching mercy. So there is this dual reality, recognizing in the Salah and the beginning of your prayer, this absolute reality, this absolute kataba ala nafsi rahma, as Allah says in the Quran, and then the Rahim, which is the personal and relative and ephemeral experience of His mercy. These things, this paradoxical reality, is impressed upon you when you make the Salah. I won't go on through the whole Fatiha, but all of it, if you go through it, it's all about arrival. It's all about reflecting and diving in and letting go of the relative and arriving at the source of which it all came from. Then when you do your ruku, when you do your bowing, bowing, you say Subhana Rabbil Azimi wa bihamdi. Now it's interesting when the difference between Azim and Ala. So Azim is more of it can be used in a relative sense. So when and Ala is high beyond conception. It's like Akbar. There's no Alim. Allah is beyond the ability to conceive. So we'll come to that in a moment. So when we pray the ruku, that what helps me is I imagine that I'm bowing in front of the magnificence and the interconnectedness of Allah's creation. The heavenly spheres, starting from the solar system to the galaxies to atoms and electrons and Allah's creation, snakes and animals and trees and all these things. What can you do but just say Subhana Rabbil Azimi wa bihamdi? And then when you come up out of that Azim, that recognition of that incredible effulgence, again you stand up, and standing up is as though as it's kind of like the nafs returning, you know. Yes, but I'm back, you know. Here I am, but then you realize, oh, I'm back, and then you go into sajda. You know? You realize the relative. You've tasted the awesomeness and the beauty and the magnificence, and you know now with knowledge, you have to give it up. You have to go beyond the recognition of this incredible effulgence and go into sajda. And when you go into sajda, you say, Subhana Rabbil Ala wa bihamdi. And that's where Shaykh Fadhlalla always talks about where you get your refresh, because that is now, if you think about it, when you're in salah, your hands are on the ground, your nose, your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your touch. All the sensory lines of perception within you are submitted. It is a mithal, when you do that sajda, of transcending the sensory, transcending the ephemeral, and entering into a zone which is indescribable and unclaimable by anyone. It is a dhawq, it is a reality that cannot speak about. So, but that is a metaphor and a recognition in the salah of that haqq, of that truth, that you are, that is also the reality. That is the reality. But in the salah, if you look and you come back, of course, sitting, and then that is again sort of like an emergence of yourself again. But now you've had this dhawq, this taste of surrender, and then you do it again. It's as though it's saying to you, the salat is saying to you, come again. If your relative self keeps coming back to you, your thoughts, your concepts, you're thinking about your laundry, or did you leave the iron on, or the stove, or whatever it is, you go back down into it, and you die into it, and you submit into nothingness. And there's where you have the divine communion. This is where, in Surat Al-Najm, where the angel Jibril has a conversation with the Prophet ﷺ and says, that the Prophet asks him to come with him in this metaphoric way, and Jibril says, I can't go any further with you. You have to go further. You can go beyond the Sidrat al-Muntaha to where you go to the Qaba wa Qathaini, the two bows lengths. And in Surat Al-Najm it says, and then we revealed to him, the Prophet ﷺ, what we revealed. And then there's a silence, and it says, and the heart did not lie by what it saw. So this is the potential and possibilities that lie within this incredible and pristine practice that we have of salah. And in the ending of the salah, several different schools end it differently, but the one that I know is you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. And then you say something so interesting. You say, Assalamu alayka Ayyuha Nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In Arabic, when you say Assalamu alayka Ayyuha Nabi, it's as though he's right in front of you. He's alive. He's right there. So when you're saying prayer on the Prophet, or the word salah, what does it mean? It means to connect with that reality. And that reality is alive and living. The soul, like we spoke before, Shaykh Fadhlalla spoke, is we are born from, we are nafsan wahidan, one self, one soul. So the prophetic beingness is within you. Prophet ﷺ, his ruh was the same as yours, but his maqam, station, was not the same as ours. So when you say Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, is it you then imagine he's sitting in front of you, you're connecting with that light. Wassalamu alayna, you're saying, and that connection is upon me. Wassalamu, how's it going? I just lost it. Bi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, wassalamu alayna wa ala ibadi salihin. And then you ask the awliya, you turn to yourself and you see, you connect to all of the other salihin, and then you end it, assalamu alaikum, in that state of inner connection with the prophetic light and connection with the transcendent light. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, to get, so that we can take something from here, the hudur of the presence of each other, with each other, and the reflection with each other, the presence of the Shaykh, who gives us that mirroring and so on, and bring that presence and that dhawq into your salat, which you have access to 5 times a day. So there should be no question about, that somehow continue to entertain the illusion that you need to be here or be with someone or get something from someone. You have everything already within you. We just need to access it, yearn for it, want it. And when you have that yearning and that access, then you have everything you need. And you won't be looking to right, you won't be looking left, you won't be looking at other people. You'll be looking towards your inner Kaaba, and there's where you'll drink and you'll nourish yourself. It doesn't mean that you won't need to continue, because we are that way. We're insan. We need mirroring. We need each other. We weren't born in just one single human blob in the whole universe. Each of us are different facets of one gemstone, and Allah brings to you the right people at the right time, the right guidance at the right time, and the right time is always now, in the moment. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Hajj Mustafa. You have truly taken us on a carpet of ascension. Imam Nusra, Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطرا قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيث ما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد الله أكبر الله أكبر. For each of us, there is a prescribed journey and experience when it comes to our relationship with salah, with prayer. A phenomena that takes us back to a reality before timelessness, before time, and then brings us into the space of time and constriction. And then through the doors of death, we go beyond this space and time, back to our abode of timelessness. The Quran describes, and the prophetic tradition describes this journey through prayer as a mi'raj. To go beyond our limitation, to go beyond our comprehension of this existence, to go beyond body and mind. Our beloved Prophet Nabi Dawood ﷺ was blessed when he, in communication and communion with his Rabb, was blessed with a hadith Qudsi in which Allah says to his beloved Dawood and says to him, Ya Dawood, Uridu wa turidu. I, your Rabb, have a desire, a longing. And you, Abdullah, you have a desire. وَلَا يَكُونُ إِلَّا مَا أُرِيدُ. But according to my system of justice, nothing will happen except that which I desire. إِذَا سَلَمْتَ مَا أُرِيدُ أَعْطَيْتُكَ مَا تُرِيدُ. Allah says to Nabi Dawood, if you surrender to that which I desire, I'll draw you closer to that which you desire. So Allah created us with this capacity to go beyond ourselves. And through His rahmah, He has created various foundations through which you are able to achieve that. One, the foundation of maqam. وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَّقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلًّى. Take this place of Ibrahim as a place of prostration. And the second foundation is the foundation of time, that I have prescribed for you at certain times through day and night, in which you are able to have direct access in our engagement. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. As Shaykh Fadhlalla explained to us yesterday in great detail. And the third is how. يا أيها الذين آمنوا يا أيها الذين آمنوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين. كيف حالك? What is your حال today? My حال is a constant longing and yearning to be one, to be in the courtyard of my Lord, and not to be fooled by my own trickery and foolishness. So, Ya Rabb, ihdina ilayka, guide me and show me the way to never bypass my state of Allah consciousness. And then, of course, there is his dhikr. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, La salata man la wudu'a lahu. There is no prayer for the one who is not in a state of ablution. There is no prayer for the one who has not separated himself from himself, who has freed himself, his lower self, and who has not yearned to ascend to his higher self, to his higher consciousness. وَلَا هُدُوءَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَذْكُرْ إِسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. And there is no ablution for the one who does not evoke Allah's name upon it. It is like Shaykh Fadhlalla said, we all fast asleep. And sometimes it requires such a dramatic action to bring about the desired result that Allah yearns within each of us. And so, in that state of ablution, it's as if being in that state of sleep, Allah, wake up. Allah, wake up. Allah, wake up. لا هدوء لمن لم يذكر اسم الله عليه. And on the third shock, we respond wholeheartedly, in our full beingness, Allahu Akbar. And so we are able to step into this maqam Ibrahim and dive into sajda and free ourselves from the burden of this world and fill ourselves with the heavenly cup of Allah's love and rahmah, only to return to share our experience with others. I'm going to leave it there. I had a whole academic layout, but I'm going to avoid this. So let me rather end off. وَاللَّهُ الَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله عما يشركون. والله الخالق البارئ المصور له الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you. A few minutes, I think, for everyone to absorb. Bismillah. Thank you both, gentlemen, for taking us with you into the journey of awe, wonderment, where all the notion of our separation and selfhood are just eclipsed and washed away by intention and by seeking permission of Allah for surrender. La ilaha illallah. Thank you. After that, I think we can only refresh our bodies and tongues with tea, water. I believe water realigns the magnetic polarity of our bodies, so you may want to renew your wudu in the light of what has been shared with us now. We'll have a 15-minute tea break, and then we will rejoin here for Noha Aesop's presentation on an ordinary life under an extraordinary teacher. And that'll be followed by Alia Batul Haeri's presentation on the transformative nature of surrender. Thank you all. Bismillah. 15 minutes.